I know, Chuck.
Dora,
I know you're getting
talking to
sensitive.
Dora.
You're being so emotional, Chuck. Can I finish what I'm saying? Thanks.
Point,
Yeah, when we look at the FBI, I know, Chuck. I know. When we look at the FBI crime stats, it's not true actually that black people commit most of the crime. In actuality, I know you're so sensitive. You're so sensitive. Honest, in actuality, white people commit a larger percentage of the crime, so it's actually just not true. But what we don't actually look at are the percentages in which white people largely disproportionately commit most of the crime.
Yep. So you're like the answer to my question was you guys think only in America black people are more violent than any other country? You think that? You guys really think that?
Oh no, there's African tribes where they eat people and grape and pillage. So
yeah, that's not what I'm talking about.
A couple of years ago, where a white man ate his friend.
Well, guess what? It's still going on today in the predominant cases.
Okay, cool. So the answer to my question is only in America black people are more violent because we don't see these representations anywhere else in the world.
Well, black culture in America perpetuates the normal.
So why do you think that is?
A lot of violent behavior.
Everyone's cutting him off.
Bro's never hasn't looked at Europe in quite some time.
So
guys, this is called critical thinking. I want you to think about the thoughts that you have.
I was trying to.
So you actually think that the black population in this country is more violent than any other black population around the world?
No.
Think about that thought. Why do you have that thought?
I don't think anyone said that. TikTok. I was trying to explain to you what
you literally said that. You literally said that. 3 people agreed with it.
No, you said.
He won't. TikTok. Can anyone respond to you, or do you just want to keep like rambling?
You're gonna have your racist thoughts. Go ahead and respond.
Yeah. So the normalization of bad behavior and culture, and especially America, black culture in America, the snowball effect that's occurred, and the normalization of crime, violent crime, schmug dealing, etc. That all perpetuates, and it exactly shows with the statistics that TikTok brought up, unironically. Being that we saw another minority, which is 7% of the population, which is the Asian American community. Their numbers are far lower. It's, what was it, like 3%, 38% of the crime rate, and 12.36% of the population for African Americans. And most of those crimes are violent ones. That doesn't make sense. So that would be armed. That would
because
be like
statistically
robbery,
we know
murder. All those.
Statistically, we know white people commit more violent crime, and equally the amount when it comes to chemical usage, and selling and using. So statistically, the crime reports show that this race gets arrested for the same amount of stuff that this race does, but this race actually serves more prison time.
That's exactly right. And
how can you explain that?
I just proved that before this live discontinued about 30 minutes ago. I just proved it.
And why'd y'all kick Adorna?
Nobody kicked her.
Pretty weak.
Nobody kicked her. I'm not a mod.
I'm a mod, and I did not kick her. She either left or someone kicked her, but it wasn't me.
Yep. I'm not a mod.
Jay.
Host, may I have the big screen for a moment? Because I can't stay long. I have to run, but I just want to show somebody something.
Okay.
May I have the big screen for a moment?
She might have walked away.
Yeah, Jay.
Turn your camera on, big dog.
Okay. What does this say? Which dictator killed the most people?
What the hell, dude? Talk about derailed. We're not.
We're talking about blacks and violence. Okay, so these are black people. These are black people.
Bro, can this?
No, these are black people. These are black people. Now let's move over. Those are Chinese people. This guy's white.
What's this source? This looks like a hella sketchy website.
This is Earthly Mission. No.
Looks like I made that meme up, man.
It's a .com, but it's Earthly. It's a well-known.
Yeah.
It's Earthly. Hold on. Let's look at it.
All right.
Let's look at where
So
the white people
I want to
are.
get. I was getting to a point, Robert. I was really trying to drill in on a point, but
yeah, Robert, you're cooked, buddy. Sorry, it's just not happening. It's a joke, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
So when we take into account that white people actually commit more violent crimes, and when it comes to crimes like chemical usage or chemical cells, it's pretty much equal amount. But black people serve more time. They represent more in the prison population. How do you explain that other than the laws disproportionately affect black people?
I can show proof of that as well.
Come on, Graves.
Oh, sorry. I got a message. What was said?
You're gonna make me repeat the question for a third time?
You were asking me a question?
Yes, 100%, man. You
Okay,
said black people in America are more violent because, and then you gave a litany of reasons. My question to you is, the stats don't show that. White people actually commit more violent crime, and when it comes to nonviolent crime, such as chemical usage and chemical cells, it's equal amount of arrests. But we see in the prison population, black people do more time for the exact same crimes.
You think that has
Can you explain that to me?
You think that has to do with no snitch culture?
What?
What?
Do you think no snitch culture plays a role in harsher
No, unless you
sentences
can
and longer- and
quantify how many
elongated
white people
sentences?
snitch. Yeah, unless you can quantify.
So I was trying to respond. I don't know why you're talking.
You asked a question, and I was.
So my
I didn't
question
ask it
is,
to you. and I
Literally
wasn't
asked.
talking
You
to
literally
you.
just asked a question, and I'm answering the question.
I wasn't talking to you.
Is anybody able to
Yeah,
pull
sure.
up
You're
the
scared.
per capita percentages?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Well, I would go
As
for
a whole,
I would
it's
go
kind
for
of
arrest
irrelevant
rates.
because we know white
take
people
that.
are the majority of this country. So why don't we look at per capita percentages of
Yeah,
crime?
easily. I have the DOJ
I
pulled up
actually
right
had
here.
looked up. I actually had looked up something the other day, and it was like that black people delete black people at like a 97% rate, I think, like, and white people was like an
What you-
85% rate or something like that.
Yeah, what you read was an article that actually
Like
was
it was
disproving that Facebook meme.
somewhere around there. I
Yeah, it was an
can't remember.
article that was disproving that Facebook meme. That's where you see that stat. But also, yes,
It wasn't on
specifically,
Facebook.
Department of Justice states that by percentage, there is more white-on-white crime. In addition to that, when you look at the FBI crime stats, most of those violent crimes are committed by white people. When you look at, for example, the United States Sentencing Commission, white people make up 70% of family annihilators, 82% of school pewers, 83.1% of child porn offenders, most serial unalivers, most rapists. Those seem pretty violent to me.
Oh, I agree with you on that.
What about armed robbery though? What about armed robbery?
Yeah, in actuality, yeah, absolutely. Why don't we talk about an armed robbery? Just
In
robbery.
armed robbery, black people.
Yeah,
Hang on, wait.
I'm literally
Adorno.
answering you.
No, I was gonna.
Cherry pick, Adorno.
Can I
Every time
talk?
you keep asking a question and then muting me.
It's
'cause it
not a
sounds like you're
question.
scared.
I'm trying to speak.
Yeah,
You
go
lack
ahead.
impulse control.
Yep.
Listen, in armed robbery statistics per race, black people make up 52% of armed robbery in America.
Why are you doing
White
specifically
people make
armed
up
robbery? Because larceny,
44.7.
white people make up most larceny. Why are you specifically doing? And it doesn't say armed
Well,
robbery.
if
by the way.
we're,
It
if we're
just says
talking
robbery.
about,
We're talking about-
who's more violent, why don't we look at the per capita violent crime percentages?
Yeah, it's white people.
Can you prove that? Can you back it
Yeah,
up?
absolutely. I have the FBI crime stat right here.
I have the FBI crime stat right here as well. And for the murder, manslaughter, and unaliving rate, it's 51% for African Americans and it's 45.8% for white individuals.
Is that the only kind of violent crime? Is grape a violent crime?
Murder is a
Is that the only? Yes, is that the only violent crime? In addition to that, they have a line.
Murder
that
is the
specifically
most
says
violent crime you can
Yeah, they
commit.
have a line that just
You're taking
specifically
someone's
says
life.
violent. Yeah, they have they literally have a line that says violent crime and white people. Yeah. In addition to that, other crimes can be violent. I know you just want to look at.
we get this
but
on
also,
screen?
by the way, when you're speaking specifically about the unaliving
Okay.
stats, the FBI has a on the FBI what do you call it? Under their chart, there's an asterisk that specifically states that they don't account for most of the unalivings unless someone's race, gender, age, sex is shown. So they only do 6,000 unalivings on the chart, even though there were 16,000 unalivings that year. So there's no way to know who commits most of them. So that's for unalivings.
The number is literally 4,078 to 3,650.
Yeah, and I just explained.
And you talked about exoneration rates. Hang on, Adorna. You talked about exoneration rates. Do you think they fucked up 4,078 times, and those are all just false statistics?
I just specifically said that there's an asterisk that specifically states that they don't include the race of the offender for unalivings unless they have the age, race, gender, and sex. And specifically, they only account for a bit over 16, less than 7,000.
They wouldn't account for
even
gender
though yes, because they're two different things. Even though there are.
Oh no.
He's gonna try to pivot.
Write the asterisk, okay? Except that there were 16,000.
Name one what?
Over
Black serial killer. Name one. What Netflix series?
When did we talk about that?
Yo, I don't know where y'all are from, like, but I
What are
grew
y'all
up.
talking about?
Bro, hold on, bro.
What we're talking about is name one.
I know some legendary stories of like some black folks.
Name one.
In my neighborhood, like
Samuel Little.
They had unalived at least like
Henry
3
Louis
or 4
Wallace, Chester Turner,
3 or
Derek
more
Todd
people.
Lee.
None
All
of
of the
these
famous ones
names
are-
ring no bells. So sorry, but yet
DC
no
Sniper,
Jeffrey
I'm telling you.
Dahmer.
they weren't. He was not a serial
Nancy-
killer.
Wait, hang on, no, wait. You're trying to make a
Ted
point.
Bundy.
Wait,
Are you kidding me?
Peaceful. Wait. Peaceful.
No.
You've named 2.
Are you kidding me?
I challenge. Name 5
Baby,
more.
which
You
one of them?
just-
Which
I
one of
just
them have a
named-
series?
No.
I
Which
just-
one of them have a series though? Which one of them
Name
have a
5
series?
more. Wait,
A
Peaceful.
series
Name 5
What
more.
does it matter?
Which one of them have a
series
series
does
though?
not
Peaceful.
matter.
Name 5 more. You
Which
name
one
It
2.
does matter.
What is-
You name
out-
2. Name
they
5
Really?
more.
out and y'all this out.
Oh, they have a series.
No, I know.
so that
Wait.
means something.
Hang on.
They have
Everybody stop.
unalived
Everybody stop. Wait. Since Peaceful wants to play, since you want to play a numbers game, name 5 more.
You're playing the numbers game.
John Wayne Gracie, H.H.
Go.
Holmes, Gary Ridgway, Samuel Little was one,
wasn't
Ted
asking
Bundy
you.
was one, Jeffrey Dahmer was also one.
I just named
Because
Samuel
you don't
Little.
like being wrong. I know
I
you are
said
not.
Samuel Little.
What the hell?
I said Samuel Little already.
You're gonna see here on top of that, just because you guys.
Okay, I'll name others. Ray Joseph Dandridge, Eugene Victor Britt, Reginald and Jonathan Carr, Ivan Hill, Charles Johnston.
Any of these people?
Huh?
Any of these people?
They're
No,
literally on the serial killer list.
But however,
Feel free to
if
look
I'm
'em up.
watching a TV
Feel free
series
to
right
look 'em
now,
up.
I'm
What
gonna
was
find a
y'all-
whole
I don't give a
bunch of,
shit about the Netflix series. I don't
Yeah,
care
bro,
about that.
Netflix
I bet
doesn't
not.
matter.
I bet not.
Bro.
Or yet again,
Bro.
what about
You bet
in the
not.
60s?
You bet
How
not.
many-
Nothing.
How many
Yeah, I'd like-
movies have you seen or shows have you seen that
Dude, I
had
know
a black
lot
person
of- bro,
kidnapping
nah,
their
bro.
own children in their own community?
Well, King Von, that's another one.
We've seen black folks do
He
this
wasn't a
too.
serial
Like,
unaliver.
like,
Apparently
I
you guys
don't know
don't know
what you're talking
what
about,
was.
bro. Like,
Oh, excuse me, unaliving.
He's
We're
literally
talking
rotting
specifically
himself.
about serial
rotting in
unalivers.
hell,
But also,
actually.
would you like me to
Right,
prove my claim in
serial.
regards to the
I'm
unaliving?
trying to explain it when everybody's talking. All right, so listen, look. So we've all seen black folks like who have like pew-pewed up a club before, right? Like and they end up or whatever, right? Knocking down.
I've only seen white people do
knocking
that.
down at least like 5-6 people all at one time.
No.
These
No.
things have been going on for a long time, like, but nobody ever had classified it as a so-called like mass pew-pewing or something like that. Black people have been doing this forever.
Yeah, Kev, that's not a serial unaliver. That might you
How
could
is that
maybe
not
count
a
that as a
serial
mass.
unaliver?
Wait, mass unalivers.
What would
and
you consider
serial,
unaliver?
Wait, Kev.
What would you
Mass
consider
unalivers
serial?
and serial
What would you
unalivers are two
consider
different.
serial?
Yeah, mass and serial unalivers are two different things. So that
Exactly.
would be considered a
Two
mass
different
unaliving,
things.
not a serial unaliver. There's two different things.
That's just
Taking out-
a community.
Either way,
y'all ever
you can
call
talk
out
about
any
one hell of a
black
you can
goal.
talk
people's
about
bad
serial
behavior?
unalivings
Do
all
y'all
day
ever call
long.
out any of black people's bad behavior?
Name
ever?
one person. Name a black person. That you
Really weren't. You're trying to say that is
I
a serial
literally
unaliver.
named
It's literally
10.
not. Yeah. So anyway, the point that, but do you want me to? I can bring up the stats in regards to the unalivings.
Where's work? Where's the paperwork? I need to see this though.
Oh, it's already been brought up on screen. Peaceful.
So what the hell are you talking about?
I don't know. She's in a different world.
Hey, I got it.
You can talk about serial unalivers and school
Your head.
viewers all day long, but the reality is, 12% of the population commits more unalivings than 63%.
Yeah, I can prove that
There's
wrong.
a news
I
flash.
can literally prove that wrong.
It
So
said you guys. That's not. He's not black at all.
that's easily provable to be
Oh, I am
wrong.
black.
He just doesn't like facts.
Those
I
are-
can
am
literally
black.
put
He
it
just said
there.
super predator.
Serial. Does it say cereal? And then that's so funny because if I go on my thing right now, if I go on let's see, what is it? I'm not trying to say
list of famous black serial killers.
Figure it out.
Yeah, this is easily
Sorry, unalivers. I can't block
in
that
regards
word.
to the stat that Graves stated.
You're literally pulling up the same stat as me.
Yeah, and you didn't read
But
it well. Surprise, surprise.
It said 50.
Yeah, so I can
white
literally
people.
show how
I don't
you're wrong.
understand.
Thank you.
It's weird.
Yeah, so check it out.
are we-
Specifically,
Yeah,
what
show
it
me how I'm wrong,
why did you?
please.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Put me in the big box. You have to big box it again.
I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. So yeah, generally how people are where they're getting the numbers is that they're just obviously looking at this the FBI crime stats, and they're like, oh, black people committed more. So what you can see here is the total. The total of unalivings in general, like the actual total is about 6,000 unalivings, right? And so they're like, oh yeah, well, black people committed most of them, or at least half of them, half of the six, around half of the six. Yeah, can I finish? Thanks. So specifically though, when you scroll down to the bottom, because this is the chart about homicides, right? Yeah, when you scroll down to the bottom, however, they specifically have an asterisk. Yeah, they specifically have the asterisk that specifically states the table is based on incidents where some information about the offender is known by the law enforcement. Therefore, when the offender age, sex, race, and ethnicity are all reported as unknown, this data are excluded from the table. So if they only have 6,000, we would have to know what the total is. So if you go to their other crime, this is the FBI again. This is the FBI for that same year. There were over 16,000 and only 6,000 are accounted for. So there's no way quite literally to know who did the most because, well, like most of them are unaccounted.
Actually, the total is 8,000, so I don't know where you're.
Yeah, the total, in 2019, the estimated number of unalivings in the nation was 16,014.25. Simple reading comprehension. 16. This is the total. So this is not the total. This is just the total that they could account for. The actual total overall of unalivings is 16,000.
Who do you think was getting away with those?
Oh, I think serial unalivers, such as white people who are go unaccounted for. I think when we see a lot of kids come up missing, considering the fact that the United States Sentencing Commission states that 83.1% of child porn offenders are white people, I would say, white men specifically, I would say a lot of those unsolved ones are probably white people. When they're speaking about family unalivers, family annihilators, 70% of them are white men. I mean, I'd say white people account for a lot of those.
Yeah.
Or the gentlemen who are just are hanging in on trees as ornaments nowadays.
What are you talking about?
There was a story come out that nothing came of it.
Host, I have to run, but thank you. I appreciate you having me up. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye, Dorna.
Can we agree that white people commit more crimes than black people then?
Yeah.
Overall, yeah.
I mean, because
we are a larger
majority
percentage
of
of the
millions
population.
more crimes every year.
Yeah, of course we do. We're 63% of the population. Of course we do.
Yeah. Then why is
But who commits more violent crimes? Black people.
No, white people.
No.
It's
I just said
black
there
people.
was
Adorna just literally went over this for the last 15 minutes with you, man.
You didn't hear shit.
Well,
of course. You didn't hear what she said.
Here's the thing. She definitely spoke facts. Like, she pulled it up. I mean, you can't deny facts. However, she said that these were unaccounted for. And she said, well, I can just assume that it's
And she speculated at the end.
Yeah, that's speculation. So we can't. It's her speculation doesn't mean that it's full print.
That was for homicides alone. We're talking violent crimes altogether.
Still speculation.
I understand that for homicide alone. I'm just saying.
But I'm talking violent crimes altogether. Like homicide isn't the only violent crime.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So we understand that white people commit more violent crimes in this country. And hold on. And when it comes to, are you just gonna mumble stuff, bud? When it comes to,
I'm not mumbling. I'm speaking.
When it comes to nonviolent crimes, it's at an equal rate, specifically in chemical usage in cells. But the black population is overrepresented within the prison population. Can you explain that to me?
Because they commit more crimes. And they don't snitch on each other. That's another thing. They don't snitch on each other, so they get longer sentences.
Yo, you always can tell or whatever, right?
Wait a minute.
Who grew up in the
you get longer sentences because they don't snitch on each other?
The cognitive
everybody
dissonance
knows
most of them
in these neighborhoods that you are likely to get robbed or to get pew pew. I don't know where y'all had grew up at, but bro, like these are things that just like black people know. Like so, and then whenever you start hearing white people start saying or whatever, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. It is like that.
White people don't commit murder.
I mean, at the same time, like, well, there's a lot of factors as to why we see a larger number of people in the prison system than we do any other demographic. We're not talking about representation. We're not talking about, the differences in the crime, prior histories. We're not talking about any of that. So I feel like it's very easy to say, well, they're disproportionately in the prison system when we're not looking at other factors regarding those.
Bro, I've lived
What's
in
the number one
major cities on black sides of town. For some reason, all these cities that is the black side of town tend to be the most dangerous.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's called, bro.
That's called
redlining.
What?
That's called gerrymandering and redlining.
Stop it.
That's literally
gerrymandering is in reference to voting.
Names for that. Ever since 1968, bro. Listen,
yeah, well, gerrymandering goes along with it. They also skirt gerrymandering around those exact same areas that they redlined.
That wouldn't determine
hold on.
crime.
What does redlining have to do with crime? Please tell me that.
Yeah, so like in reference to murder rates, how is gerrymandering or redlining determine who murders who?
I didn't say it. Did I say that?
Yeah,
did I say that?
I love this argument that poor people.
No. Don't let him off. Did I say that, Azrael, or are you building a straw man that I didn't argue?
So no, that wouldn't be a straw man. You caused a positive entailment. He said, "Why does this happen in these regions?"
He said,
"You said gerrymandering."
He said black people.
Jesus, no. Like if you're
if I'm
creating
gonna
a
get
positive
muted, I'm just gonna
entailment-
bounce.
Let's not mute. Hold on.
Fuck all y'all, then. I'm out.
TikTok, do not go. Hold on. Everybody be quiet. Everybody be quiet.
I did
I'm
not
gonna
hear
clear
him.
panel. Hold on 1 second. Because y'all got it very fucked up in here. Okay? This is not your... I don't know who's muting. Stop unless the host says to mute that person. He has a right
No, that was me muting him.
Oh, that was you, Jay. Girl, I
Azrael
was about
trying
to say.
talk.
I was gonna say I didn't mute anybody.
Oh, I was
No,
about to go.
Azrael was trying to
modified.
talk, and he just kept talking over him.
Yeah, okay. All right. I didn't know if it was you or if it was like a mod, because I know sometimes they get a little carried away with the muting, so I didn't know it was you.
But no, like if Kev is going to state the position, if certain regions are more likely to be violent, this would entail violent crimes, right? And if these regions are more violent, then we can't just say gerrymandering when gerrymandering is about selecting voting districts. We can't say redlining when redlining is who gets assistance from the bank based upon certain regions. We can't say that assistance from the bank basically entails violence unless you're also saying poverty entails violence. And if that's the case, then like you can argue that poverty plus proximity equals a culture of degeneration or degradation. But that wouldn't be only applicable to black people. That would be applicable to all racial and or ethnic groups. So you would have a non-argument here. And that was the point that I was trying to make. He's like, did I say that? Well, yes, when you're saying gerrymandering and redlining in reference to violent crime, there is a level of entailment that you're saying gerrymandering and redlining cause violent crime.
Facts, Azrael. Yo, and
Bolted real quick.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, but in the city like that I live in now, right? Like, so there is a really, really like poor area like that is in my city. Like, and it is relatively whatever, right, white people over there. And there is like little to no crime. Like, and I'm talking like poor. I'm talking like trailer park, like RV type poor. Like, and there is little to no crime there. Like I think that because I live in the city, bro. Like whenever you go to
Do
that
you
side
work
of town,
in the police
you don't have
department?
to worry about none of this stuff.
Do you work in the police department?
I don't need to work inside of the police department.
How do you know there's no
city.
crime in that
If I
area?
know my city, bro. I'm not
How
saying
do you
whatever,
know
right,
there's
that
no
there is
crime
no
being
crime.
That's
committed
at the
in
end
that
of the day,
area?
that's using an anecdote. At the end of the day, we
I'm
don't care
not
about your
saying-
specific city. If you go to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, it shows the direct correlation between household poverty and violent victimization of people. This has been documented for years. If you study sociology, you know that usually wherever there's poverty, there's crime. There's a direct correlation
No,
between
that
the two.
is not
Not
No,
saying
true.
the
it
only thing
That
causes,
is
but
not
there's a
true.
the
clear
only thing the
correlation.
That
only thing
is
that is
not
consistent,
true.
hold on one second. The only thing that is consistent within crime is lack of morality in every aspect, right? Because we see all the time people being in positions of power where they're being accused of crimes. Some they've committed and some they have not. Correct. They have everything that they need. They have all of the resources. They're not in poverty. However, they're being accused of crimes. They're committing crimes. They're doing things like that. So the only thing that you can find in the heart of all crime is a lack of morality, not poverty.
Morality is a weak argument, though, because that's subjective. At the end of the day, people
It's
have
not. It's
different
the foundation of
morals.
our
You can go to the
law and
most
order.
atheist states in the
Preach,
country and they
Ayala.
commit the
It's
least
it's
crime.
it's
New
the
Hampshire,
foundation. It's the
all
foundation
the
of our complete law and order. Is our scale of what morality is. That's why when you go to another country, certain things are illegal that are not illegal here because our morality scales are different. Well, we've decided that as a society, some feel more that this is a morality issue. This is more morally, righteous than this is, and that's how we come up with ideas and laws and things like that. So it is a morality thing. I love when y'all say, that's a weak argument when it's actually the basis of our law and order.
Can you prove that then? Can you define what morality would lead to certain types of crime? What religious perspectives or beliefs would lead to higher rates of crime?
Oh, what do you mean? Like, are you talking about like what religions are linked to like
That's
different
easy.
laws?
Description of what morality would lead to higher rates of crime or
The things that
what
black people
religious
celebrate,
practices lead to higher rates of crime.
I'm not understanding her question.
things that black people
Definition
choose
of
to
the belief
celebrate.
No,
systems
I
or
can't. I can't
religions
hear
that
because
lead
two
to
people are
higher rates
talking.
of crime.
Yeah, like Kevin, you were talking at the same time, so I couldn't hear.
My bad. I'm sorry.
It's okay, love.
Yeah, just give a definition or parameters discussing the belief system or the religions that lead to higher rates or lower rates of crime. What
Where did
religions
I
or
speak
belief
on
systems are
religion?
correlated with higher rates of crime?
Where in that did I speak on religion? Are you saying that you have to have a religion in order to be moral?
So give a definition or parameters of the morality or religion that leads to higher rates of crime.
Oh, okay. So
That's a non-question, though.
yeah,
Like,
that doesn't make it
I can
confused.
answer it. I
wait,
mean,
no. Like, it is fundamentally a non-question because a moral framework that could objectively exist does not mean a person is operating under this moral framework. Also, you yourself said moral subjectivism, which I find interesting because then you bring up religion as if moral objectivism needs to be grounded in religion, when secular moral objectivism has existed since the ancient Greeks. I mean, if I simply bring up lexical negative utilitarianism, I can give you a secular framework for having objective morality based upon empirical data, and your best retort to that would be that it is an approximation of this, but we can still arrive at universal truths of what would be morally permissible or morally impermissible based upon this.
Give me those principles and then
For
show a
which
direct
system?
correlation
Whose
between those
framework?
principles
this
and the
dude is
crime. That's
good.
all I'm asking for.
But again, whose system? Which framework? Are we talking about the criminal? Are we asking a rapist for how a rapist defines that grape is good according to them? Whose framework? You're asking a non-question. You're not being
Morally
specific.
ambiguous gray area. That's why I don't think
Morally
it's
ambiguous grape is
appropriate to
bad?
a moral conversation.
Grape being bad is morally ambiguous?
Bro, listen.
What I said, that is not what I said.
Black people celebrate the criminal. Black people celebrate gangbanging. This stuff is not that hard. These
We'll celebrate the mafia. Give me
Nobody
a break.
was talking to you, bro. Be quiet.
I don't care.
Like, this would be innately a cultural question, not a moral question. It would be what culture do people practice in which crime would be acceptable? And then we could name an innumerable amount of crimes, and then we would then further derive as an auxiliary from.
I thought it was just me, Ezra. I thought it was just me.
Let me grab one.
I really thought I just wasn't hearing her correctly, but that's a really exactly in what standard are you referring to? Because like I said, what's moral here is not moral somewhere else.
Well, what culture is violence?
Give me 1 second.
I thought I was tripping, but I was like, no, that's a kind of a strange question.
Well, white culture is violence, right? From the founding, race-based chattel slavery, Jim Crow, parchment farms, sharecropping.
He had to go. Man, come on, man.
What? I mean, we have a whole history of it.
Bro, you had to go back to
so does Africans.
1776.
So does
yo.
every
That was not
other-
that long
so
ago.
So
does
does the
When does
Native
it stop?
Americans.
racial demographic.
It started with Genghis Khan. Remember that.
I'm talking about here in America. White culture
Cool.
is
Genghis
violent.
Khan unalived
Genghis-
so many. He unalived so many people. It affected the ozone layer. It affected the ozone. It made Earth healthier. It literally eliminated CO2 in the air. How many people he eliminated?
This concept that this is like innately like a white concept, I find that so peculiar, especially in reference historically. If we're going to talk about the ideas of race and like what it truly means to be black, doesn't even arrive in Europe. It comes to Europe via Arab control of the Iberian Peninsula in reference to the Umayyad Caliphate. And even when people bring up Gomez Deserara, you know, that innately Arabic last name because his parents were Arabic nobility under the Umayyad Caliphate, yeah, that guy, the Arab guy who just so happened to live in what is now modern day Spain and Portugal, even though Spain and Portugal did not exist and did not have an identity and would not until hundreds of years later, that Arab guy who lived in these places uphold ideologies of race and blackness that far predate white people even encountering a black person. So I find this so weird when we blame this on white people when it wasn't white people that came up with the concept. It was white people who were introduced to the concept by other people.
Sure it was.
And then y'all made the KKK. So I don't get why.
what
So I don't know why we trying to blame the Arabian
Democrats made
guy.
that.
What
I
about
don't
the
I don't see why
doctrine
we
of
trying to
discovery?
blame the Arabian guy when you guys took it and made it worse. I'm just saying.
You guys, I'm neither a Democrat nor
people,
white.
My fault. White people
Who's
made
y'all?
it worse.
Yeah,
So
who's
I
y'all?
don't know why we
Racism
gotta
and
blame them.
colorism
What
came
about
from
the
all
doctrine
people.
of discovery?
How many up here? How many people up here? This is a very blatant and clear question. How many people up here hate white people?
No, I think snow bunnies
I
are.
like white people.
No,
I
no.
think
How
snow
many?
bunnies are nice.
Yeah. How many of you just hate white people though? You don't wish any good on them.
I love some vanilla
They're not a
ice
good
cream.
life.
I like white people.
Does anybody up
I
here
love me
hate them?
some vanilla ice cream.
I'm not mad at that.
That's interesting.
Snow bunnies are nice. I
A lot of
also
this,
like red
because
balls.
based on some of the rhetoric being skewed, you would think that it's just. I feel like a lot of this rhetoric that's spewed oftentimes is a mask to hide this pure hatred for white people.
Oh, 100%.
What?
You already know.
How's that true?
Yo,
It's
I
jealousy.
like people that
I don't
have
think
good
it's jealousy.
character. I don't
It's
care what
absolutely
color
true.
you are.
I think your whole statement is even hypocritical. Because we've seen white people come out and say 1530s and all kinds of other stuff, but
Mhm.
you
Okay,
wouldn't
they're
say
stupid.
that. You would
That
just say
doesn't
it's
mean all of
facts. And I stated out a clear fact, and somehow it's hidden hate. I'm just trying
And
to
it's
understand
funny because,
that.
like, do you.
No.
What hidden hate is there?
Well, yeah, I
You
kind
brought
of
up
sometimes
that.
do feel like it. It's a hidden hate sometimes. I
Like-
feel like if there's no context in which we're using it and we're just throwing it out, like you said, if somebody was to come up here and say 1350, I would instantly believe that they're masking their true hatred. They just hate black people. They just hate us, and that would be my assumption. But I mean, just like we were just having a conversation, and then you blurted out, and then you guys did the KKK. So, like,
To blame an Arabian man.
but we're having a conversation, and
Oh
it's
no, we're talking about its origin.
we throw little
Rihanna,
stupid shit
you
out.
gotta say pointy hat.
Yeah, excuse me. But we
Dude,
just
no,
throw little
I'm
stupid
not
shit out.
blaming anyone. What I'm saying is we're going to talk about the historic origin of something. We need to go back to its actual root. We can't just pick a random date in history and be like, it was in Europe. This is when it starts. Blame the whites.
Then I was confused.
Exactly.
That's my fault.
Actually,
Exactly.
we
Yeah,
can.
we weren't saying. Actually, you can't.
Actually,
Does
you
anyone
can.
else? Does
Actually,
anyone
you
think
can.
that if like
1452.
LeBron James or like Drake
Genghis
or
Khan.
any of these like who if they got pulled over, do you think
1452.
they face?
Shut up.
Genghis
Like,
Khan was
about
before
Genghis Khan?
when
1552.
somebody else is talking, y'all need to stop talking. Go ahead, David.
I'm pretty. Yeah, I was basically saying, do you think a black celebrity has the same experience as like, the average black guy? Let's say the average black guy back in the 90s or like the 80s or whatever, maybe even 70s.
Probably not.
No.
That's so no one. So do we all agree that like they don't go through like the same day to day?
Yes, the idea of a universal experience for any ethnic group is inherently fallacious. And anyone that tries to disavow that would need to supply, because universal claims are so hard to prove, especially in reference to a debate. Yeah. To make a universal claim, it needs to be 100% true always. And the moment that I point out a singular instance where it's not true is the moment that you're immediately wrong and need to stop talking. That's not my opinion. It's just, it cannot be universal if it's not universally applicable, right? So before anyone says anything, like if you're going to give me a hypothetical, if I can point out any sort of idea of where this wouldn't be true, then the point's wrong.
Yeah, that's not true.
Well, I was just saying in points to, like, if oppression is a race issue, then it doesn't matter if you have, you know, a certain amount of money, you would still be at a disadvantage.
Right. They still spray painted racial epithets on LeBron James's home. Right?
Okay.
Huh?
I said okay.
Yeah.
So what, bro? Listen, look.
So what?
No.
Yeah.
Wait. Listen. Look. Nobody is saying that racism does not exist.
If we're going to compare racial traumas, at the end of the day, interpersonal racism is not nearly as egregious as systemic. So I think we should keep those examples out.
Systemic racism. These ninjas, boy.
What is systemic racism?
You can give it to him, y'all.
Please.
Yeah,
yes, you're the one who said it.
I don't think it exists overtly anymore, but there are covert forms of discrimination. Over the past 10 years alone, $1 billion have been shelled out in settlements for discrimination against Black people in bank and housing loans, for example, in the United States. Even when they have, you can go to brooklyn.edu and find this out, that Black people face higher mortgage denial rates and compared to other racial and ethnic groups by 18%. So the denial rate was about 30% for Black people, even when they have the same, I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now. Even when they have the same credit score, it nearly doubled, obviously, because it was 12.6 denial rate for all other applicants. Things like that, for example, or that more than 24% of Black families who applied to purchase home loans were denied and compared to 11% of their white counterparts. That disparity consistently exists in metropolitan areas like Memphis, Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, things of that nature. Like the fact that even when they've done studies, I don't know if you've seen the video of the teachers, and they asked them to look at the Black students, or the students in general, to see who would be the most likely to misbehave. And they had an eye tracking system, and it consistently went to the Black children. And I think that goes hand in hand with the fact that even at the preschool level, Black boys make up 45% of school suspensions, and they're predominantly the large amount of school suspensions and expulsions up until they graduate in high school. Things like that would be examples, or like the medical racism that happened with Norplant in the 1990s, which was marketed towards Black women to make them infertile. They have gotten settlements as well for those type of things. A Tuskegee syphilis experiment which ended in the 1970s would be an example of systemic racism.
Do you think that the I'm not rejecting the mortgage claims or pretty much anything you said. It's pretty on the nose. But why do you think there would be sort of sketchiness or bias? Like, why would you think that the teacher would be looking at the Black kid first? Or why do you think that despite having the same credit score, Black people would be facing, a higher denial rate? And why do you think Black, males get suspended at a higher rate? Like, in your mind, or from what you've seen, why would you think that is? Do you think it's just blind prejudice? Do you think it's a little bit something deeper? Why do you think that is?
But I think that prejudice is at play. That's just, again, my personal opinion. I don't think that there's consistently all of these egregious, disproportionate numbers time and time again across multiple facets of society. I don't think we can just look at that and just be like, oh, Black people suck. They just don't got their life together. Like, I don't think that's the case, in my personal opinion. But again, that is an opinion. That is not a fact.
But that's why white people talk about those things. So then we could, try to prove the biologically inferior, like these claims that white supremacy has always had. That's the point of talking like this, because they believe that Black people are biologically inferior, and they push the white supremacist talking points like criminality and welfare, and it's all a claim of Black people being less than. That's
right, but I'm
Right, but
saying that.
can I just respond real quick,
I
Danny?
don't believe. What's up?
I just want to respond to John real quick. I feel as though you're ignoring, like, one thing that's being ignored is that when we do have a lot of these Black people who speak up and say that this is not who we are, we're more than that, we're more than this, we're met from both sides, right? Particularly mainly liberal a lot of the time. We're met by this and told that we're less Black and we're shaming Black because we are in quote unquote close proximity with whiteness. Like, I think that the most upsetting part of it all is that anytime the behavior is positive or the behavior is productive to the society that it's in, correct, I feel like a lot of the times it's something correlating to whiteness. You want to be in close proximity with white. You want to be a white person. If we could stop associating quote unquote good things or societal productive things with whiteness, I feel like we would see a major decrease and a lot of the pushback that people who want to speak up and address these things, we would stop seeing such a disconnect there. Because me speaking a certain way or walking a certain way or wearing certain clothes does not mean that I want to be white. It's not in close proximity to whiteness.
Well, it's funny because it's like we associate being civilized with being white, you know.
Yeah. Bring up like how a lot of them will tend to get mad at, like me, for the way I talk, for example. Bringing up Ayana Kai's point here is that a lot of Black kids, when I was a kid, used to pick on me because I didn't talk the right way. I didn't speak Ebonics. I was raised in suburbia, so of course I'm going to speak in the way that I grew up as, right? Just same way any Black person who grows up in South Central or Compton or anywhere in the hood will speak their own way. But evidently they're not used to, at the time, they're not used to Black people who speak differently.
Yeah, they really aren't. And what goes back to what I was saying before, like about the why. You know, honestly speaking, and I think a lot of people try to ignore it, but there's a huge issue in the culture of our community. And like every time it's like it tries to get brought up, everyone's like, no, like people, you know, they just hate us, right? They just hate us. They're trying to prove that we're inferior. And like any Black person who's, you know, gets money, right? Where do they go? They go to the white neighborhood. They don't stay in the most of them with the
Carmelo Anthony's family.
All of them.
All of them, right?
All of them.
So it goes. It's like, okay, well, if these people hate us so much, right? Like if they
doing
hate
the
us
same
that
things?
much, right? You know,
it doesn't make any sense, bro. These ninjas are insane. John, shut the fuck up, bro. Listen, these ninjas are insane, bro.
Well, no, I mean, like in a genuine token sense, like I really do want to point this out. Why is it that the leader of the Black Lives Matter organization, why does she buy all those mansions in gated white communities? Like if this is truly,
she was trying to make a creators hub. Yep. That's why she did that.
Well, she was living in one of the homes. She's living in one of the homes. It's not like they're all Airbnbs.
Because they were wealthy, right?
Well,
that
no,
doesn't answer the question.
Yeah, so like it's not like these are all Airbnbs and she's still living in the same studio apartment that she started off in. The moment she was given money, the moment she was guaranteed wealth, is the moment that she bought all of these mansions and all of these gated white communities. Yes, they're donations. It's a nonprofit.
No, sir. No,
it's a for-profit organization.
No, sir. They were wealthy before that.
She was wealthy before that.
You know that one of the founders is actually an author, a very popular author. Like they had money before BLM.
So, wait, just real quick. If I'm talking about one individual and you bring up another individual, you bring up a separate person counters me.
Leaders of BLM.
I said the leader of the organization.
There was two, right?
There was three of them.
People.
There's three ladies.
Oh, it's three of them. Okay.
Two people implies more than one, which means if you're talking about a separate individual, that's not countering my point. Try again.
This is weird. What?
Yeah, they got a lot of money.
Couple, right? They were a couple?
No, it was three of them. They weren't a couple.
There was three of them, right? One of them was a wealthy.
No.
Yes.
They were. They had money in their pocket, but not nearly as wealthy as they
popular authors.
What was her name?
I forget her name. I know she already had money.
Can't be that famous.
She was a successful author.
What was her name?
She was a successful author. I don't remember her name right off the head.
Successful author.
What's a book she wrote?
Go look it up. I don't know.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
Do authors
Maybe
even
I
get bread
could-
like that anymore?
What's that?
Do authors even get bread like that anymore?
Well, I just
Successful author.
The majority
Successful
of
authors
their
don't
wealth
make money?
came from the BLM system.
I don't know if you know who Quan Mills is, John, but Quan Mills is an international best-selling author, and Quan Mills is rolling in dough. Now, if you don't know who Quan Mills is, I definitely recommend you Google Quan Mills, and I'd look at his videos. But in reference to who founded BLM and the particular leaders, it is 3 women, and none of them are bestsellers in anything. None of them have even had a best-selling book, which I don't know how we can quantify someone as successful if at their peak, at their prime, they're making $100,000 in sales over a multi-year period. But since you didn't know the names of the people in your own point to try to retort my point, here are the names of those people.
Great. What does it matter? They were still, right? Like a third partner.
Can we get a
successful author? You're talking about
Can we get that on the big screen?
You're talking about the people who have who bought mansions, right? Well, their partner was a successful author.
2 of them are writers. 2 of them.
Right.
2 of them are
There you
writers.
go.
But you said successful, and you couldn't name a book. You couldn't name the name.
Right.
How successful?
But they were still successful.
Okay.
Is that like a subjective claim? Like they sold more than 2 books? Like,
Right. One book could be labeled successful. I mean, what
Successful homeless.
what
They
do we
got.
mean by that?
no, there was a
That's
gathering of Emily's and Stacy's at the Barnes and Noble.
We got
enough to buy a mansion. How's that?
They didn't have a mansion.
Have mansions before.
Where did that money come from, John?
She was a successful
Man,
author.
man, shut up. Stop.
She was
Warehouse
Shut up.
manager.
Put it out.
That
They was
money
at
came off the
McDonald's
backs of African Americans and gullible white people. They were broke before. They have money now.
Idiots just like you, John.
He donated most of their.
No, they did not.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
They ran off with the bag.
Well, I don't know about did, but they do now. They do donate their money.
They ran off with the bag. They ain't donated
Tens of
shit.
millions they've donated.
They
What?
received hundreds of millions. They bought hundreds of millions of dollars in property. And sure, if they donate pennies on the dollar, so does Nike.
Don't they use
It's probably, if you do
organizations?
some research, it's probably to their own organizations anyway.
Right. It's to the organization for the
No,
organization.
their own
donations.
It's mostly pro-black organizations, but
That's
not,
why they doing is just like recycling the money.
What's wrong with that?
Because they recycle the money. That's what's wrong with it.
What's wrong with it?
They are the only ones eating off of it, John.
Well, she's having lobster and caviar dinners while there's currently children
you know
starving
that.
to death in our streets.
You know that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure she's
Lobster
helping
and
everyone.
caviar.
Pennies on the dollar, right?
You know that they're eating lobster and caviar.
I'm assuming that if she's living in a $30 million mansion, she's not
Donated
having
tens
Kraft
of
mac and
millions of
cheese.
dollars.
You never know.
They
Hey,
donated
some niggas be
millions of
trifling.
dollars.
Some niggas be trifling.
True.
$32.4 million mansion, but nah, bro, you got me. She's living off of Triscuits and prosciutto. That's it. It's her sole diet.
It's in prosciutto as
Spam for
well.
Velveeta.
Eating spam and bruschetta.
She's having a slice of
Velveeta.
mayonnaise and potato salad because she's fully embraced the white culture. By the way, I just
She's
found
living
this out.
off of Velveeta and
I
spam.
just found out potato salad exists like not even 2 weeks
Velveeta and
ago.
spam. That's funny. Hey,
No
listen,
way.
look, that is a good.
No,
ass
no,
meal.
so no, so like I've got a Nigerian mom. So like I grew up eating traditional Nigerian meals, and my dad is like he's a French and Italian guy. I've never like experienced like I guess traditional white quote unquote cuisine, and I was talking to a snow bunny, and I was indulged with the idea of potato salad, and I've never heard of it until this point in my 20 years of life. And I thought she was lying to me. I thought this is when people talk about like tuna casserole. I thought it was like a meme.
That's funny.
But they're I think they're the three ladies of BLM. They actually had like it was like this Jewish guy that was their kind of not their master, but the guy I'm gonna use the word master.
I'm starting to see a historical trend.
Yeah.
So what about the background? Like, oppression is a classism issue, not a race issue.
Yeah.
So
Because you have black slave owners. That's why.
So when did racial oppression end in this country?
There was never racial oppression.
There was what?
There was always
There was never
classism.
racial
There
oppression.
was never racial oppression in this country.
No.
I wouldn't say
Holy
not
fuck.
ever, but I would say
Yeah.
once the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment were in place, that's when it ended.
If you had the bag
So what
back
about black
then, you had
codes?
black slaves.
What about black codes?
What about it?
What do you mean?
Black codes?
Black codes, yes. Where they
What about
made up laws specifically for black Americans
Name
to
one.
re-imprison them.
For the
Name
broke
one.
black Americans.
Loitering is literally one of them.
What?
Loitering is only for black people.
Loitering, not littering. Loitering.
I know.
No, I know.
loitering.
Loitering.
Are you saying loitering laws only apply to black
It is
people?
true. As a black man, I can tell you, I've never seen a white person stand outside of a building. It's only us.
Oh, well, then come to California. Oh, really? California. Oh, yeah. Oh, California.
No, it's white people are genetically incapable of standing outside of a building. It's part of their innate
Exactly.
biology.
Bro,
I mean, to be honest,
they're
they
all
probably
ones.
prefer to just sit in their
So
car.
you're going to deny the black
They
codes
won't stand
exist.
outside the business.
So you
Hey,
deny that
John,
black
listen.
codes were created.
Loitering laws do not apply to just black people. That's
When they were
literally, you have no
created,
idea
they
how
did.
insane that sounds.
Ma'am, when they were created, they did.
God. But are they still effective?
Go look it up.
Yes or no?
Go look
Okay,
it up.
let's
I don't have to.
No, let's say this is
No, you
true.
need
Let's
to,
say
because you don't know what you're
let's say
talking
that
about.
prior to 1964, there were laws, and it was like, hey, if there's a black dude outside of the building for more than a millisecond, arrest him on the site, beat him within an inch of his life. Sure, okay. So we're 2 generations removed since the Civil Rights Act. Are any of these laws or practices still applicable 2 generations later?
You don't think cops don't target black people anymore?
What the fuck are we talking about? See, this is what I'm saying. I don't even know why he's still up
When
here.
did it stop?
What do you
Wait a minute. When did it
3
stop?
hours ago
We
he's still up
found.
here.
Hold on a
When
second.
did it stop?
We
Is
found
insane.
full precincts where they were white supremacist groups. Full fucking precincts in the South.
Were. Sir.
Yeah, like recently within the last 10, 15
And it's funny,
years.
people. Well, you'll
Last
say
10, 15 years.
white supremacists were white
Okay, so name one.
nationalists too.
I'm arguing these niggas. Oh.
Name one.
There's been a ton of them. I'd have to go look it up.
There's been so many that you don't know any
We
of
got
them.
time.
Right, exactly.
When
There's
did
been so many.
He's a
I
damn
couldn't
idiot.
think of all of them off the top. I can't
No,
think of
because
one.
I could say like mass unalivements, and then I could name Columbine, I can name
Crazy.
Vegas. I'm currently in Vegas, but these are just like 2 off the rip if we were to talk about the topic of mass unalivements. I find it so peculiar. And I mean, maybe it's just so weird to me personally that you're talking about there's so many instances of this, but you can't even think of one off the rip. Not even one comes to your mind. You can't even give me a state.
But it's happened,
I'm
right?
saying.
It's happened.
That's what I'm
Did it
saying.
happen in this
10 to 15
millennia?
years. Within the last 10 to 15 years, we found like full fucking precincts.
Can you give me a
They were
hemisphere?
white
Can you give me a
supremacists.
state? Can you give me a time zone?
Down in the South, I know there was a couple states
Where
in
in
the
the
South where they
South?
had this happen. Look it up.
Where in the South?
Look it
Why
up.
do I need to provide
time.
your
This
proof?
is
Look it
the
up.
one go
It's happened. I don't know what to tell
When,
you.
hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Again, I'm
Just
going to
trust her.
remind
Just
you
trust her.
how
Hold
a
on a
debate
second.
works. It's not our job to back your words.
Yeah,
If you're
it's burden
going to
of
make
proof.
these claims, you need to back them yourself. That's how a debate works.
He who takes
At
the
least
positive
Tic Tac and
claim
Arona
has the
showed their
burden of
evidence.
proof.
That's what
Yeah, at least Tic Tac and Arona showed their evidence.
When was
Same.
when was loitering, right? Because it wasn't called loitering previously. Well, yes, it was. But when did loitering become a crime?
And when did it become a black code?
No. I just want him to answer that question.
Oh,
John,
okay. Sorry, my bad.
no, it's okay, girl, because I want you to go off. But when did loitering? What year was loitering made illegal?
in the 1860s with the black codes.
1861. Was slavery over in 1861?
No.
Right. So, do you know what it
Codes.
says about loitering in the
Good.
Offenses Against the Person Act, 1861?
Beginning of Jim Crow. This was the beginning of the
I'm
installment
asking
of
you a
Jim Crow
question.
laws.
1 second.
Right.
So,
Black codes after the
I'm asking him a question because he brought up loitering. So I'm making sure that we're all consistent in understanding what we're
Right.
talking about. Right? So any constable or peace officer may take into custody without a warrant any person whom he shall find lying or loitering in any highway, yard, or other place during the night. This is what the original this is where, it first comes into play as illegal. This goes into black people. Where's the part of it that says black people? Even though slavery
Where's the
wasn't even
part
legal.
that says black people?
You're saying this is the statement you made. You said that black people, it's a crime against black people. It's a law put in place.
No, man, I said they
It's a law put in
targeted
place.
black people.
Okay, so in what way is it targeting black people?
They were literally black codes. Black codes.
Where's the
Target
code?
black Americans.
Where's the code?
I gotta go.
Well, no, you're anastrically.
I gotta go.
At least
use ChatGPT, bro.
I gotta go.
Is
You gotta go.
unreliable.
You gotta go. I knew it. I gotta go. He says.
Yep, that's what I figured he read. And then because
Two people back
At
to
least
back.
give Tic
I'm about to
Tac and
bounce.
Arona some credit. They at least showed their evidence.
yes.
They were condescending, but at least they showed their evidence.
John is a moron.
And he kept the live though.